Hello, hello, and welcome to the live. Today, I wanted to jump in and talk a little bit about what is so in the press right now, and that is how a lot of us felt about Essence Festival this year. There is a lot of people who left that festival this year feeling not good about it. And before I get into the weeds of all of that, I do want to say that I did, in doing my research, I did also see there were people who also had a good time. All right. There were people who like really enjoyed different things about the event, different concerts, especially Babyface seemed to get a lot of shout outs. But there were people who enjoyed it. But the overwhelming feedback was that it wasn't giving what people are used to it giving. And I think this was like the 31st year, if I'm not mistaken, of Essence Fest. So, what we're going to do in this video, we're going to look at a few clips. Anybody who's joining this video, please feel free to drop a comment. If anybody wants to actually click on the link and contribute to what we're seeing, that is totally fine too. Just let me know in the comments and I'll drop the link. But yeah, we're just going to jump into it. So I thought where we would start is that there's an interview on YouTube with a person who is the chief events officer of Essence Fest, so or either of Essence Ventures, but he's the chief events officer. So ultimately, the buck stops with him with this type of event. So I thought where we start is just listening to what he had to say about some of what's being said, and then we're just gonna go to another video where we could kind of go step by step through what is being said about the experience folks had at the Essence Festival this year. So let's go there and see what the chief events officer had to say.
And then there's an interview that the owner of Essence, Rich, did, indicating that there may be an idea to do an Essence Festival culture in Nigeria at some point. And so people are saying that they feel pushed out. What do you say to accusations that Essence is no longer centering African American culture?
That's unfortunate because we really are at the core African American. However, we're also Black. What you see is connecting those Black dots throughout the diasporas to show that we are one community. The Battle of Jollof partnership that we did with our sponsor AT&T was a brilliant idea because, again, you got jambalaya, you got jollof, you got all the different versions of this dish that are rooted in our homeland of Africa, and it has been delivered throughout the world in its different forms because of, again, the transatlantic slave trade.
Let me just pause here, and I could tell you from some of the feedback that I've seen, having a jollof rice versus jambalaya competition did rub a lot of people wrong. Even just the whole versus thing. I think for him to say that it is a brilliant idea, either he has not seen when people are rattling off all the things that made them feel as if African American culture was no longer the center of a festival that they built. Uh, that was one of the things. For him to say that it was a brilliant idea makes me feel like he's not aware. Either he is not aware to how often that particular event is mentioned amongst other events as an issue, or he's being dismissive of the feedback. Either way, if I don't care if you have any kind of plans to create experiences for people, if people tell you I didn't like that, and especially where it's not just a one-off but it's a trend where people are telling you I don't like that, the chief events officer of Essence shouldn't then say, well, that was a brilliant idea. That's not how that should work. So let's see what else he has to say.
And we're bringing it all back together. It was a great event. Again, it's all about our similarities and not our differences. To your point, who doesn't love Davido? Who doesn't love Buju Banton? Like, if you don't love that as a part of just Black culture, I don't know how you could be satisfied, because it's really about bringing it all together.
Well, and I'm gonna stop it there because it's not that. It's not that. The Essence Festival that they've now created another name for, the Essence Festival is about celebrating African American culture at the center. Now, if you wanted to sprinkle in other things as a part of just the diaspora, whatever, I'm sure there's a way to do that where it won't feel as if you're trying to build towards some new global experience with the Essence Festival. That is not what the Essence Festival has been for the past 31 years. It has been centered on African American culture, primary demographic being African American women as the customer that you have served. So obviously, even from what the chief events officer is saying, there is now a strategy. There is now a strategy to evolve the festival to be more global, to be more representative of the diaspora. And that is a mistake based off of how the people who this used to be for, who actually built it, who has been there all of these 31 years, feel about it. I want to be clear in what I'm saying in this moment too. The Essence Festival, as it has been for the past 31 years, is something that centered African American culture. And from the responses for people who went this year, they wanted to remain that. Now, if as a part of the evolution, Essence Ventures said, well, we want to make festivals more global, so we're going to have an Essence festival in Nigeria. We're going to have an Essence festival in the Dominican Republic, whatever they're going to do, like offshoots, not replacing the one in New Orleans, but creating these different experiences there. I don't really see where that would be necessarily an issue at all. But you cannot come to a festival that has been, or put it this way, the people who are the core receivers of this experience, which is still African Americans, they do not want to feel as if they are no longer at center of this event that they have really benefited from and built over the past 31 years. So I just think what this guy is saying, who's the chief events officer at Essence, I think he is, I don't know if he's tone deaf or just unaware or what, or he's just trying to save face, maybe even perhaps save his job. I don't know, but he's saying so much in this interview that is just off the mark. So let's then, and before we get into another video that's going to really kind of get into the details of what people experienced at the festival, I do want to share something that was on essence.com, just to say that people who went to Essence Festival and had the experience that African American culture was no longer at center, they're not making that up. They're not being xenophobic. This is something that is true because this is a strategy that is being executed. And we know that even more so from a document that is on essence.com that talks about what the strategy is for the coming years. So let's take a quick look at that. All right. So from Essence Ventures on essence.com, that says Essence Ventures was represented by, I don't want to mispronounce the name, Tubman Global Lead on Talent and Diasporic Engagement. This lunch signifies the kickoff of a partnership between NCAC and Essence Ventures to build a framework with Essence as global knowledge and culture partners for Origins, a core NCAC initiative, and for Destination to 2030 Nigeria, everywhere the global platform of the ministry. All right, so if you go down here, they get into talking about the Essence Festival. This has been called the Essence Festival, the Essence Music Festival. Now they're calling it the Essence Festival of Culture. That is important. That is important. That is showing you that it is a corporate strategy to evolve this festival away from what it has been in New Orleans and to become more global. So that is important. Okay. That is a business decision when you see that. Right. Let's see. The Essence Festival of Culture, held annually in New Orleans, is the largest festival in America, attracting over 500,000 attendees daily. They had a lunch event, and they said the lunch signals and recognizes Essence's global intent and expansion. All right. Essence's global intent and expansion, aiming to build a solid foundation for its global Black community and bridge the gap with Nigeria as a focal country due to its rich talents, history, traditions, etc. This is evidence of the strategy that Essence is trying to execute. Where Essence is missing the mark, okay, that is if they care about how African Americans feel, specifically about the Essence Festival in New Orleans, that 31-year tradition, right? There is no issue with Essence Ventures expanding globally. There is no issue, or there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be any issue with Essence Ventures even trying to go about building a foundation for its global Black community, connect the diaspora, bridge the gap. All that sounds great, right? But when a part of that strategy is erasing the Essence Festival as it's been known for the past 31 years, where African American culture is not at center, that is a problem. Another thing I'm going to say here before we get into the video, a part of what I'm speaking to is connected to, what I kind of do for a living. And that's human-centered design, right? So anytime you are trying to create experiences for people, whether it's digital, whether it's things like these type events, whether it's some type of service, whatever it is, but at the center of it is a human. The first mistake you would make is to not understand the needs of the humans that you are serving. If your core group that you are serving with this festival year after year after year, decades, has been African Americans, Essence is primarily marketed for African American women. African American women, even just with coming off the recent election and so many other things, the things happening with diversity, equity, and inclusion, although people could make an argument for who really benefited from that. There were women who benefited from that, but not necessarily African American women. But long story short, sisters have been through a lot. Sisters have been through so much, especially after the election. They're like, we want to kind of take 2025 off if possible. And so you better believe that for a lot of women, when they came to Essence Festival this year, it is a time to relax. It is a time to release. It's a time to feel like you are going to a homecoming where you don't have to code switch. You don't have to feel like you got to switch up to fit in. You are coming to a space that was made for you. And for them to design or plan a festival this year that shifted that in significant ways, and for them to be unaware, either one of two things. Either they are unaware that is what they were doing with these plans, or they knew that's exactly what they were doing with these plans because it aligns with what you see on your screen and the global strategy that they have planned out. And we may, meaning African Americans, we may have to make peace with, maybe they don't want to fix this. They may say to us all the things to suggest they want to fix it because the streets are hot right now. So they may placate us and say the things they feel like we want to hear. But if at the end of the day, they have a corporate strategy to make Nigeria as a focal country, and they're going to shift so many things, and they want to expand Essence globally and so on, and the owner of Essence Ventures at this point is a person who is from Nigeria, then they may try to gaslight us with telling us things they think we want to hear while they move forward with their strategy. So we need to be conscious of that. We need to be conscious of that, because clearly what a lot of people felt at the festival this year is not something they're making up in their head. And it's not just about a competition about rice. It is about what you're seeing on your screen here, which is clearly a part of their corporate strategy to globalize the Essence Festival that they are now calling the Essence Festival of Culture. Why do you think they're using that broad term? Why do you think they changed to that broad term? Right. So when people say it didn't feel like it was about us anymore, it felt like we were being pushed out. It didn't feel like our home. It didn't feel like homecoming anymore. That's because as a part of their strategy and a part of their moves, they're moving along, doing the tactical things that is a part of their project plan to create a more global Essence Festival experience. So it's important that we know that, because no matter what some talking head says to you, no matter what PR person might say to you, the proof is in one, what you felt when you had those experiences when you were there this time, what you felt was real. And then you also have documentation to show what their strategy is, then it's real. So I just want to make sure I kind of double down on that people are not being petty, people are not being xenophobic, people are not making this up in their head, tripping, being irrational. No. People had a legitimate response as to what they felt at the Essence Festival this year, and it aligns with what the corporate strategy is as far as changing the festival to be more of a global event than just the New Orleans event that centers on African American culture. And before I go to the video, and I know I'm repeating myself at this point, but I just feel it's important. Before I go to the video that kind of gets into the details of it all, I have no issue with Essence Ventures wanting to create an event or a space where all of us in the diaspora could come together, could commune together, could learn from each other, could respect each other's cultures and embrace each other. I don't see an issue with that. I do see an issue, though, with them deciding as a part of their corporate strategy that instead of creating that separate thing, they're just going to overtake the Essence Festival as we've known it for the past 31 years, a festival that's centered on African American culture. I do have an issue with that. Now, whether this corporation cares about that or not remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. Okay. So let's now go into a video that I thought this lady kind of really broke down a lot of what was going on. I have not watched the whole thing, so some of this I will be definitely experiencing for the first time with you all. But I liked how she started off. I've watched other videos of hers, and I think she does a good job kind of just giving us the facts of what's going on. So let me just pull her up, and we can kind of get into that. Just 1 second. All right. I think I'll make it just a little bit bigger so we can make the main thing here. And we should be okay. Cool. All right. Let's jump into it.
This video is for Black Americans. If you are not Black American, you can keep scrolling, or you can stay. But Black people in the diaspora, this video is not for you. As a matter of fact, it may make you feel some feelings. Feel your feelings, but the facts are the facts. Essence Fest was this past weekend. I've never been to Essence Fest, but as a Black American, I know all about Essence Fest. If you have never been to Essence Fest, you know someone who has been to Essence Fest. You've heard all about Essence Fest.
I agree with her on that. Whether you've been to Essence Festival or not, you know all about it. I would probably bet that most people, if they haven't been, and if they're physically able to do the festival, like walk around, go to all the vendors and all of that, it's probably on their list of things to do. But yeah, we all know about Essence Festival.
Essence Fest. And baby, it is a time for the Black community. Do you hear me? For decades, every year, Black people have been going down to New Orleans to Essence Fest. Every year, every year, every year. Since I could remember, Black people have been talking about and participating in and celebrating down at Essence Fest. It's a celebration of our history, of our culture, of Black women, of our art, of our food. Essence Fest has been a celebration of Black people for years. And since yesterday, all up and down my timeline, on all social media platforms, Black people are talking about how much of a flop Essence Fest was this year.
And I could tell you same thing for me. And when I saw it, it was so disheartening. It was so disheartening because that's ours. That's what was for us a safe space. We still got a lot of crap going on in this world. And when you could say, when do we not have a lot of crap we have to deal with in the larger world, right? But this was for us. This was our space and has been for decades. For decades.
I'm hearing three reasons. I'm hearing, well, not three reasons. I'm hearing three issues. One, the jollof rice versus the jambalaya cook-off. Yeah, Black folks are like, why? Why is jollof even in the building? The other thing that I am hearing is, where are the Black American content creators? I wasn't there, but there's a whole lot of complaints about there not being any Black American social media influencers.
I saw a lot of that in different videos too. I saw videos where they heavily focused too on African content creators. I don't have enough evidence. I don't think this means that there were no African American content creators. I don't think it went that far. I just can't even imagine it went that far. But I have seen several videos where people talk about there seem to be way more African influencers, and there were people who also seem to have an issue with the influencers, period, regardless if they're African or African American, just having a much better experience than people who had paid for the experience by them having so many special events. That's probably normal, but coupled with so many logistical challenges this year, with the long lines that used to not be rooms that used to be free, they were making people now pay for it. You had to have a VVIP ticket. So I'm sure that might have made those influencer events even look more of a way. But I did see that across multiple sources as a complaint.
Influencers or content creators in the spotlight at Essence Fest this year. The other thing I'm hearing, where were all of the New Orleans food vendors? Where were they?
I saw this as well. Again, I've watched many videos, read a few articles about what went down at Essence Festival to try to understand what in the world happened this year. And I saw where some people who had been going to the Essence Festival, the food truck people who had been going to Essence Festival for many, many years, they say for some reason for this year, they didn't get their invite or they weren't allowed. I don't know what are all the logistics connected to that, but I can just tell you that I did see that too multiple times across different articles and videos that I've watched as a part of the research.
Where were they? I saw a couple of vendors had to put out notices that they were not going to be at Essence Fest this year. They have been there every year for however many years, but for whatever reason, this year they didn't get an invite. Those are some pretty significant things that I would say probably added to the flop of Essence Fest this year. There wasn't very much Black American in the biggest Black American festival of the year, every year. I've seen videos where at the concerts are usually packed every night, packed out. Empty this year. There were people there, but nothing like it was in the past.
Now, I wonder if part of that is because Target is still one of the biggest sponsors of Essence Fest. And I saw again, there were many people who decided not to go this year because of that. So that may have been part of the reason as to why the numbers were reduced. Also, this is a hard time. This is a hard season for a lot of people. A lot of people have been laid off from their jobs. Inflation is going crazy. They said, there's a lot of people who have other concerts going on at the same time. But, I don't look at that last thing I just said that much, because when isn't that happening? I'm sure, especially during the summer, Essence Fest is rarely the only thing happening. But I do think Target being the primary, one, if not the primary, one of the primary sponsors for Essence Fest might have caused the number of people attending to be lower. From what I understand, Essence has a multiple year contract with Target as a sponsor. That same guy we listened to earlier had said in that interview that if Target had not been a sponsor, they would have had to charge people for entering the dome where the vendors were and all of that. So whatever. I'm not gonna go too far into that point. So that's just to give you a little bit of back information on the whole Target Central situation and how that may have impacted attendance.
The major complaints that I've seen on my timelines is the vibe was off. It felt different. The air was different.
And that to me is the biggest concern. This Target thing, if they're going to be out of contract with them next year, then maybe they will have another major sponsor. Why not Costco? But another major sponsor who can help pull this event off. But we'll see what goes there. But for people to say that the vibe was off, the people said it didn't feel like it was any more about African American culture. It didn't feel like a homecoming. For people to say that is probably the most concerning part to me.
Well, grab yourself a cup of coffee. I came across a picture post over on TikTok, and that led me down a rabbit hole. Get your coffee. Let's go for a walk, shall we? I'm going to call him Mr. Dennis because I don't want to butcher his name. Y'all know I got a Southern American tongue. Yeah, so I'm going to call him Mr. Dennis. This is Mr. Dennis. He is the owner of Sundial Products and Shea Moisture. I remember him from when he purchased Shea Moisture. He now owns Essence Ventures.
And I remember many of us in the diaspora, okay, being very happy when he had bought Shea Moisture so that it could just be back in the hands of someone who was part of the diaspora. So I definitely remember when that happened.
What falls under Essence Ventures? Essence Magazine. Mr. Dennis is not Black American. I believe he comes from Lagos, Nigeria. So he's Nigerian. If I'm incorrect, feel free to correct me down in the comment section. Respectfully. I don't deal with disrespect over here. I block. This is the CEO of Essence. Her name is Caroline Wanga. And baby, she is a whole mood. Looking her up over on the Google, baby, she is walking art. Every outfit, the hair is together, the specs are on point, the outfit is bold, loud, beautiful. Love it. She is the CEO of Essence. Okay. She's not Black American. She's from Kenya. Okay. So the top owner is from Nigeria. The CEO is from Kenya, Africa. Okay.
And y'all, if we go by what we saw at Essence Festival this year, and if we go by what I shared with you all earlier about their business strategy moving forward to make Essence more global, with Nigeria being a focal country, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know we feel like Essence Festival, Essence Fest belongs to us because it has been ours and a part of our culture and experience for the past 31 years. But it is actually not owned by us. And if the person who owns it wants to take it and make it more about his continent, and we're just now just something, just a small branch or an afterthought, he can do that. And that may be hard to hear, that may be hard to receive, but we just need to understand the position that we're in. We do not have the leverage to stop him from doing that. All we can do is, if we see that's the route they're going down, we don't have to let them play in our face, and we could just stop supporting the Essence Festival in New Orleans if it's not going to be African American centered anymore. But at the end of the day, he owns it. We may feel like it's ours, but he owns it.
I went on over to Essence Ventures because in my research, I saw that Mr. Dennis owns Essence Ventures. Okay. And so I went on over to Essence Ventures, and right on the home screen, they provide all of their targeting right there on the home screen, right? And you see that little white arrow down on the right of your screen where it says access to $1.4 trillion in buying power, in AA buying power? That's our money, Black Americans. Yeah, Black Americans in the United States have a $1.4 trillion spending power. And it's probably higher than that. Let me take a quick look. $1.4 trillion spending power. This was written back in 2023, but in the article, the very first paragraph says, in recent years, the buying power of the Black community has risen significantly. According to a 2020 report via CNBC, Black buying power was $1.4 trillion in 2019 and is projected to grow to $1.8 trillion by 2024.
Now, that is leverage. I know I just said the person who owns Essence now is from the continent, the African continent, and he may, if he decides, like what we saw in that business document, that their strategy is to turn Essence Fest into a global event with Nigeria being a focal country, then what can we do to stop him? But like I said, what we can do with that $1.8 trillion buying power is not allow anybody to play in our face. You may own the business, but you cannot own a festival. There's something about, you can own something because you're the owner, like business wise, paperwork wise, you own it. But the culture is what built Essence Fest in New Orleans. And you're not going to be able to sustain that as it is, if that's your intent, that you think you could sustain that and continue to what do they call it? The term will come to me. I'm trying to think of when people come into neighborhoods and they flip them and they become gentrified. You're not going to be able to gentrify Essence Fest, okay, and make it a global thing and no longer African American centered unless we allow it. So it will be my hope that with our $1.8 trillion buying power, that we don't allow anybody to play in our face with something that we have built with our traditions and our, culture, for them to just come in and take that from us if that is their intent. I'm still shooting them a little bail right now, even though I've seen their business document to say what their strategy was. I'm still trying to shoot them a little bail right now to see where it goes, because I'd like for us to be able to all get along, but we don't have to sit over here and be okay with somebody coming in and taking something that's been a part of our history for 31 years and act like we don't have a problem with it, when clearly a lot of us do.
So in 2025, it is estimated that the buying power, the spending power of Black Americans in the United States is $1.8 trillion. And so Mr. Dennis is counting in his portfolio access to the 1.8 buying power that Black Americans have. Okay? He wants access to our money. That was my first thought. He wants access to our money. But why are my people complaining about the vibe being off at Essence? Why are my people, Black Americans, upset about this Jollof and Jambalaya versus contest? Why did it have to be a versus contest? Why are my people complaining about not feeling African American vibes at an African American festival that they have been going to for decades?
Because they have a company strategy to make Essence Fest global, with Nigeria being a focal country, as they put in their Essence.com article.
Well, Mr. Dennis has a plan. Mr. Dennis and the folks over in Nigeria, over in Africa, they've got a plan. And unfortunately, Black Americans are not a part of the plan. I came across this picture post.
This is the article I've been referencing
in one of my mutuals comment sections. And I was like, oh my God, where is this from? So I do what I do and I find out where it's from. It's from this article right here. Essence Ventures and NCAC forge global cultural partnership at Lagos Stakeholder Lunch. The Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy. Oh, pause. Black Americans, the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy, that's a Nigerian government agency. That's not an American agency, okay? Alongside the NCAC, the National Council for Arts and Culture, that's also a Nigerian organization. And you see Essence Ventures, they co-hosted a luncheon. And at that luncheon, they set the stage for global collaboration of Black culture. Okay. So all of these people represent Nigeria.
Now, where are the African Americans? Where is the representation for African Americans in this global collaboration of Black culture? See, this right here, this bothers me so much. This bothers me so much because this is what we often complain about out for what people do outside of our culture. How they will have meetings, how they will have all kind of decisions they're making that may involve us, may even be specific to us, where we're a part of it, but we're not represented in the room. Right? You know, the infamous seats at the table, who's at the table. And it's so disappointing to see that within the diaspora, okay, all things Black, that this is happening. You have a stakeholder lunch where you're talking about setting the stage for global collaboration of Black culture, and Essence Ventures is a part of that. And there is no African American representation. Everybody that's a part of this luncheon is what? They're from the continent.
Essence Ventures, who owns Essence Magazine, okay, who puts on Essence Fest every year, okay? So we're going to read this article, yeah, so you can get a clear understanding of what the plan is. And once you understand what the plan is, then you'll understand why there was no Black American at Essence Fest, why the feel was off, why the vibe was off, okay? On Sunday, let me see, when was this article written? September 19th, 2024. On Sunday, September 15th, the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy, alongside the National Council, I got it up on the big screen over here, alongside the National Council for Arts and Culture and Essence Ventures, owner of Essence Festival and Essence Magazine, the premier media, commerce, tech, and experimental company for Black people. That would be Black American people, but yeah, they took out.
Yeah, see, even that, even that for Black people. No, it's not. Essence is an African American centered brand, has always been until now. Until now. So they're really trying to do some janky things to us. They're really trying to do some very kind of slick things to us, like right in our face.
The American and made it Black people, co-hosted a Sunday lunch with industry stakeholders. Now, there's some names, and I apologize if I butcher the names. I'm here to spew facts, not be disrespectful, but I got a Georgia Southern tongue, and it's hard to pronounce these names, okay? Obi Asika represented the minister and the NCAC, the National Council for Arts and Culture, while Essence Ventures was represented by Barkui Tubman, global lead on talent and diasporic engagement. This lunch signifies the kickoff of a partnership between NCAC and Essence Ventures. The National Council for Arts and Culture from Nigeria, it's a kickoff of a partnership between this organization, NCAC, over in Nigeria, and Essence Venture, that's owned by a Nigerian, okay? This lunch signifies kickoff of a partnership between NCAC and Essence Ventures to build a framework with Essence as global knowledge and culture partners for Origins, a core NCAC initiative, and for Destination 2030, Nigeria Everywhere, the global platform of the ministry.
Let me tell you, I don't like anything about that article. She's reading from the article that I referenced a lot at the beginning of this, and I'm really starting to get a little upset, and I mean angry. Because look, if you want Nigeria to be Nigeria everywhere, that's fine. But what Nigeria or how the tone is coming across is, you're just going to come over here. You're just going to take something that we've built on our culture and do with it whatever you want because you can. Who that sound like? Who does that sound like? And I say you can because you actually own Essence. So what I think we need to start doing right now is really to start making peace with the Essence Fest that we've loved for 31 years is no longer going to be what it was. And we need to create something that we own, and that we want to support, and that we want to kind of build a new legacy on. And that may be hard to hear, but these people are tripping.
Ministry being the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy. Okay? Just stick with me. The Essence Festival of Culture, held annually in New Orleans, is the largest festival.
And since when have we been the Essence Festival of Culture
in America by per day attendance, attracting over 500,000 attendees daily over a 3-day event. Baby, Essence Fest is a time, or was a time, okay? This lunch signals and recognizes Essence global intent and expansion. Essence, who is owned by Mr. Dennis, a Nigerian, and operated by the CEO, a Kenyan, okay? Essence global intent and expansion, aiming to build a solid foundation for its Black community and bridge the gap with Nigeria as a focal country due to its rich talents, history, traditions, entrepreneurship, heritage, and significant percentage of the Black diaspora. That's it. That's all right there. There's more to the article. I'll put a link somewhere, but you could just Google this and it'll bring up the article. It's an Essence article. Okay, I'm going to read that again. The Essence Festival of Culture, held annually in New Orleans, is the largest festival in America by per day attendance, attracting over 500,000 attendees daily over a 3-day period event. This lunch signals and recognizes Essence global intent and expansion, aiming to build a solid foundation for its Black community globally and bridge the gap, with Nigeria being the focal country due to its rich talents, history, traditions, entrepreneurships, heritage, and significant percentage of the Black diaspora.
What more do you need to hear? What more do you need to hear? I don't want to hear anybody say, or I'm not going to agree or accept anybody saying that the people who told us from the ground, their experience on the ground at the festival wasn't legit. When they said it didn't feel like the vibes we're used to. It doesn't feel like a homecoming. It doesn't feel like we, meaning African Americans, were at center of the event anymore. And you heard what she just read. Same article I was referencing at top of this video. So these folks from the African continent, they're taking it and they're doing with it what they want to do. That's a part of their strategy to expand what they're calling global collaboration of Black culture, with Nigeria being a focal country. Y'all okay with that? And that's a question to African Americans, and especially African American women, who Essence was created for. You okay with that?
Black American history, heritage, culture, people is no longer their focal point, Essence Ventures. No longer their focal point. They are moving Black Americans to the side and making Nigeria the source, the country, the focal point.
And with that being the case, we got to let Essence go. We got to let it go. We've got to stop supporting the magazine. I don't even know how many people even support that anymore. We've got to stop doing anything connected to the website. We've got to stop going to Essence Fest. We've got to stop going to Essence Fest. Unless the person who owns Essence comes out and says something to us and has some tactical things to show us that what they talked about in this luncheon is not actually going to happen. And then I'm sure most of us should want to see some proof. Like actions speak louder than words. We're gonna have to let Essence go. We're going to have to let them go because I'm sure they want to keep our buying power. I'm sure they want to keep a event that was pulling in 500,000 people per day. I'm sure they want to keep all of that here in the United States because money, money, money. But these people are trying to act like we are just dumb and naive. We cannot let them play in our face like that.
So, if you went to Essence Fest and you're like, the vibe is off, why were they centering African culture? The feeling is different. The air is different. Where were the Black American food vendors? Where were they? Why didn't they get an invite? This is the shift that is happening from Essence Ventures through Essence Magazine. By way, they want Black American money. They want to tap into that $1.4 trillion. But they don't want Black American culture to be the focal point. Now, I know my African brothers and sisters are going to be feeling some kind of way. Get down in the comments.
Yeah, and I don't care if they feel some type of way, because if you don't understand how we feel about something that we built on our culture now being taken over and now becoming so it's Essence Nigerian Fest. That's what it is now. It's Nigerian Essence Fest. They need to whatever they're going to call it. It's no longer about African American culture, where it has been for the past 31 years. So no, we don't like that. We should not, meaning we African Americans should not allow anything connected with Essence to use our resources. If you're going to get rich, there's enough people in other countries, especially on the African continent, leverage that money, leverage those resources, all the things they talked about in the article, the resources, the entrepreneurship, the talents, all the great things, leverage that. But I can't see us allowing ourselves to be leveraged in a way where where some people could just come in and just say, well, we've decided that the Essence Fest is no longer going to be about American culture. It's going to be about global culture. And by global, we mean Nigerian, we mean African as well. It'll go beyond the country of Nigeria. It's going to be about us now. And if we stay on that ride and we support that with our money, our resources, we would be idiots. The idiots, they apparently think we are, because they're going to have a luncheon, a kickoff luncheon that is going to drastically change Essence and Essence Fest and not even have African American representation. And when I say African American representation, I mean real African American representation, because I'm telling you right now, this is no different than the other conversations we have when we don't have a seat at the table. You can invite someone there who looks like us, who is still not representative of us, especially if they have a job and they work for you and they're trying to be promoted and they want to be in good graces. They're going to go along with whatever you're saying. So at the end of the day, what this comes down to is that the person who owns Essence has got to want African American culture to stay at the center of Essence and Essence Fest. And apparently, from the strategy that they've been working on, that is not what he wants. And we're going to have to make peace with that and move on.
I'm spewing, talking about I'm being xenophobic, I'm being divisive. No, I'm stating facts. I'm stating facts. I'm Black American. I'm concerned about the erasure of Black American history and culture and Black people by other Black people.
And that's the hurtful part about it. We're already always in a fight trying to protect our culture, protect our history as African Americans, to fight against systems that want to rewrite our history or who want to just completely erase our history from history books, even in our school system. So we've always been fighting that fight. Even today in 2025, we are still fighting that fight. So to now have people from the African continent come over and do similar things to us, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. And the audacity to think that you somehow think you can do that and leverage our what was it? $118 trillion spending power?
In the diaspora. I said it one time, I'll say it 50 more times, 100 times if I need to. This page, I am here for the betterment of Black American people. I'm not here to disrespect anybody else, but I will call out the disrespect. I will let my people know what is going on. And Black American people, now you know. Now you know why it felt different at Essence Fest this year.
Okay, I wanted to leave it up long enough so everybody could see her channel, Tabitha Speaks. So she has a lot of content, great content. Check her channel out. Subscribe to her. I think she has a presence. Yes, you can see it in her footnote here. She has a presence on other social media platforms as well. But she gave us the facts like they are. And so now, y'all, we have to decide at this point, you know, we can't ever just chill. There's somebody we always got to fight. That's why we're so exhausted. And that's why we're so like needing places like what we had with Essence Fest to escape and get away and feel like that was a place where a lot of us could come together and celebrate and just have a good time and be amongst each other, because we're always fighting. We're always having to fight for us, for our culture, for our rights to not be erased. We always have to fight to not be erased. And here it grieves my heart so much that we now have to have this fight with people from the African continent for this particular situation. That grieves my heart so much. But what we cannot do as African Americans is allow anybody to play in our face like this and support it. I don't care if they look like us.